Okay, what is ADHD and ADD? Now, this is an introduction to ADHD. There is a full class available at my website. ADHD and ADD is defined by varying levels of inattention, disorganization, and or hyperactivity and impulsivity. Now, I will always refer to ADHD, but I include ADD in that. Now, ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and an ADD is without the hyperactivity. It is a neurodevelopmental condition. It cannot be acquired, nor can it be cured. Around 3% of the UK population have ADHD, whether diagnosed or not. There are many successful people, male and female, but they include Thomas Edison, Rory Bremner, Lee Mack, Richard Branson. Now, communication. What to consider with people with ADHD? Most mediums are generally fine, but people will have difficulty in reading long pieces of text and will lose interest. May also get distracted too. A person with ADHD has a working memory difficulty, and that means you should back up conversations with emails so that nothing's forgotten. So what does the presentation include then? Despite having good intelligence, a person with ADHD may struggle with time by losing track, for example. And this lever, is, as with all the other levers, is not under self-control. There are difficulties also included by way of putting thoughts onto paper. Now, even though we know what we want to write and we have good penmanship, good wordsmith, we struggle to get that out. There are also sensory difficulties such as sound, light, noise, aroma, and so on. And by physical objects, we get distracted by and our own thoughts. ADHD is a multi-layered spectrum condition, and each person will present differently from the other. There are the core themes, of course, but there are variations within that theme. Both males and females have the condition more or less equally, but although females are underdiagnosed, partly because it's far more subtle in the female brain than the male brain to detect. Most people with ADHD have also what's known as rejection sensitive dysphoria. Now, in short, that is where a person thinks, for example, that you're not interested in them or the task or the social media post, etc. They misunderstand a lack of contact as I don't like you, for example. Many reasonable adjustments are available, but here's just a small number. It takes a lot longer to complete a task, for example, and so extra time should be given where required. A person with ADHD is much better at sprints rather than marathons, so it's advisable to break larger projects into smaller ones. And for example, by breaking down this into smaller tasks, it gives you a lot more smaller, quicker wins. That's great for the dopamine and yes, we've done it. We also work much better to shorter and tighter deadlines. Always ensure you clarify expectations and allow things to be done on paper rather than on screen. We're much better if you print something off rather than reading it on screen. Hot desking, that's highly unsuitable for somebody with ADHD, as is open plan offices. Lots of breaks too. The brain needs to stay focused, and the ADHD brain will switch off or start to shut down after 20 minutes. Now, despite being seen as a disorder in a clinical sense, there are many strengths, which includes, for example, being great in a crisis. We enjoy last-minute deadlines. That's something we're best at. We wait, till something's more serious or more urgent, rather, and then we'll deal with it. People with ADHD are much more willing to take on calculated risks. And we also push boundaries, and therefore we make great entrepreneurs, and we're kind of overrepresented in that circle. People with ADHD are more likely to be honest, and we also have lots of energy too. So we've got lots to bring